We are determined to leave no one behind in our quest for digital transformation. I'll also talk about another initiative that has been undertaken to improve connectivity, which is the ECOWAS Free Roaming Initiative. Ghana has also taken bold steps to implement this free roaming initiative, which was adopted in 2016, but suffered implementation challenges. In June 2023, we entered into bilateral discussions with Côte d'Ivoire to implement this initiative, and the two countries became the first ECOWAS countries to implement the free roaming initiative to promote greater integration among member states and decrease roaming charges within the sub-region. Following the successful execution of this agreement between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana has also signed an MOU with Togo to start the process of implementing this service between them by the end of the first quarter of this year. The NCA has also been approached by Benin and Gambia to establish a similar bilateral ECOWAS roaming service. This will facilitate trade.
This is Honorable Esla Owusu Ekufo, the Ghanaian minister responsible for communication and digitalization, announcing the bold steps taken by Ghana and some West African countries to implement the ECOWAS Free Roaming Initiative, which is a plan by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, to eliminate roaming charges for mobile phones users traveling within the region, just like the European Union's free roaming, which is known as Roam Like at Home. But before Honorable Esla continues, let's first look at why this initiative is going to be a game changer for the African Continental Free Trade Area. According to Wamkele Meni, who is the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Africans have started trading among themselves under the AFCFTA.
Trade under the AFCFTA has begun. We have, however, taken the very concrete steps of creating a single market consistent with the vision of our founding mothers and fathers as far back as May 1963 in the historic city of Addis Ababa, where they expressed a desire that one day the African continent must be a single market, must trade using local currency, must have a single currency, and we have taken concrete steps towards that particular vision.
And several initiatives have been implemented to facilitate trade on the beautiful African continent.
We have a program that we initiated last year, which is designed and intended to see the realization of the trade that all of us want to see on the African continent. As we speak, we have developed the AFCFTA tariff book, which enables the private sector and economic operators across the African continent to determine with certainty the tariffs that apply to the products that they want to export. We also have the rules of origin manual. For the very first time, as the African continent, we are able to apply rules of origin that are harmonized, that enable an exporter from Kenya to export to Malawi with a great deal of certainty about the market that they are exporting to. The private sector is, of course, an important part of the work that we are doing, and indeed a pillar of implementation of the AFCFTA. As the chairman said before me, it is not governments that trade, it is the private sector that trades. And that is why we have developed a private sector strategy, identifying sectors such as agriculture, the automotive sector, pharmaceuticals, transport and logistics, which combined create and establish a market of $130 billion for investing in the value chains that the Vice President of the African Development Bank alluded to earlier. We have established protocols, such as a protocol on investment, to protect not primarily foreign investors, but to protect African investors. We have established an intellectual property rights regime, a competition policy, and soon we will conclude protocols on women and youth in trade, very critical for inclusion. And we will also conclude a protocol on digital trade later this month. The protocol on digital trade positions us to harness the benefits of Africa's digital economy, to ensure inclusion, particularly inclusion of young Africans who are at the cutting edge of digital innovation and who require the regulatory support for them to thrive in Africa's digital market.
Despite all this progress, the AFCFTA is still facing some challenges, and one of them is high roaming charges within African countries. And this is a major barrier to trade and investment. Imagine a business person traveling for meetings in other countries and incurring huge phone bills just to stay connected. These costs are suppressing the progress of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So this ECOWAS free roaming initiative is here to break down barriers by eliminating roaming charges to make it easier and cheaper for people to connect across borders. Let's hear more on this from Honorable Esla Owusu Ekufo.
We are determined to leave no one behind in our quest for digital transformation. I'll also talk about another initiative that has been undertaken to improve connectivity, which is the ECOWAS Free Roaming Initiative. Ghana has also taken bold steps to implement this free roaming initiative, which was adopted in 2016, but suffered implementation challenges. In June 2023, we entered into bilateral discussions with Côte d'Ivoire to implement this initiative, and the two countries became the first ECOWAS countries to implement the free roaming initiative to promote greater integration among member states and decrease roaming charges within the sub-region. This simply means that Ghanaian subscribers of any network in Ghana visiting Côte d'Ivoire will receive calls without paying any international roaming charges and will be charged the Côte d'Ivoire's local rates when making calls to Ghana while in Côte d'Ivoire and vice versa. Subscribers traveling between both countries will also be exempt from international roaming charges. Following the successful execution of this agreement between Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana has also signed an MOU with Togo to start the process of implementing this service between them by the end of the first quarter of this year. The NCA has also been approached by Benin and Gambia to establish a similar bilateral ECOWAS roaming service. This will facilitate trade and interactions between citizens of these countries and give meaning to regional integration. Our next target should be Nigeria.
I hope with this ECOWAS free roaming initiative, the entire African continent will have a free roaming to unlock the full potential of our beloved African continental free trade. So that is all for today's episode. Let us know your thoughts and suggestions on this inside the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this episode. My name is Sharif Haruna. Have a joyful life and see you in our next video. Mackerel.